he's emerged and almost maybe surpassed St. Brown as the Lions' most dangerous, important offensive player.
Yeah, I feel like the old adage is, don't get a running back in here before you have your offensive line built. And I thought the timing of them going and getting a player like Gibbs and upgrading from DeAndre Swift, and you could say the same about Demo and Jamal, but to bring in a guy like that not only elevates your offense but also elevates your floor. And so you get to a point where even if your offensive line does take a slight step back, which it has this year without Frank and Kevin Zeitler, people forget, like, this dude was drafted 12th overall for a reason, man. Like, he not only are those guys elevating him when you had a Frank Ragnow in here, but he's taking that to the next level. And even without that special group, that special elite offensive line, he can still take it to the house anytime he touches the ball. He's one of the most explosive players in the league. They called him an offensive weapon when they drafted him. And you're seeing that play out, like, week in and week out, basically. And I know there are some games where it's a little bit down, but, even against the Eagles, like, he's still finding ways to contribute in the pass game and doing things and carrying his weight around on the field. So, like, yeah, I mean, he's really ascending into this top tier of running backs in the NFL. If you're starting a franchise, there aren't many guys who are taking over him in terms of skill players right now in the league. Like, he is that dude. And, Dan Campbell has obviously worked with Sean Payton, and Sean Payton is a guy that leans on his star talent when he needs a go-to play. And, like, I think you're seeing Dan do the same thing with Jahmyr. And that game was so fun to watch because every time they needed a play, they gave it to the running back. You don't really see that often in the NFL these days. It's always, we got to get something in the pass game. We got to get the pass game going. They were patient, and they said, all right, we're going to give it to Gibbs. Let's get him 26 touches in this game and just hope that he just keeps carrying us. And he did from start to finish in that game. So obviously you get to overtime and takes it one touch and goes 69 yards, and you have a nice day there. So I don't know if people got that, but that's what you get with Gibbs, right? And that's why you bring him in here. That's why you are probably going to pay him when that time comes. You keep him around here as long as possible because his game's going to age well, I think. I love what they did when he first got here when he was a rookie, kind of worked him in slowly. Fantasy community did not love that. They were on Dan's ass every single day. But they're doing that for a reason. They wanted to work him in slowly and kind of keep his body fresh. And I think that's going to prolong his career, at least you get to the back end. And I think his game has a chance to age pretty gracefully here, barring, some crazy injury. But I really love what they've done with him. And now it's to a point where we need you. Like, we're going to give you the ball 20, 25 touches a game, and you got to go help us win, man. That's kind of where they're at with him. And it's been cool to see him take this step.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go a step further, Colton. He's ascending into the top tier of offensive playmakers in the NFL. Any conversation that includes Christian McCaffrey and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and Jonathan Taylor has to include Jahmyr Gibbs. I think if you canvassed league GMs and asked them to choose one offensive skill player aside from quarterback to begin a franchise or an offense with, a large number of them would choose Jahmyr Gibbs because he really is proving true what Brad Holmes said about him when he drafted him, and most of the NFL world mocked him 2 years ago, which is that we consider him, and I want to make sure I get this right, an elite multi-phase explosive positionless weapon. And they are utilizing him like that more than ever before. And you watch him play last week and you try and find the right words to describe it. And sometimes those words best come from his teammates, guys who have been in the NFL and around football and playmakers of a similar stature for a long time. And so that was kind of my goal entering the locker room, was to figure out how these guys could explain what he's doing. And I heard a term, he's like an alien. I heard the term, he is a cheat code. You heard Rocky Seen, who has been in the NFL for 7 years, call him one of one in this league. And I think that's a pretty fair way to describe Jahmyr Gibbs at this point. And J-Raj, I know you kind of resist the Barry comparison, and I never really got to see Barry play myself, but we did have a chance to speak with Lomas Brown yesterday. And by the way, shout out Lomas Brown, who was announced as a semifinalist for the Naismith Hall of Fame. Well-deserved. Couldn't happen to a better person, and obviously to a great player. He could run for mayor in Detroit and win in a goddamn landslide. But when we were talking with Lomas yesterday, at the very end, I just wanted to get his thoughts on Jahmyr Gibbs. And I asked him if he ever watches Gibbs and sees shades of Barry. And he said the one thing that they do similarly is they set up blocks the same. And it takes a really cerebral, instinctive player to do that. And I thought that was notable coming from Lomas Brown. He then went on to say that Jahmyr Gibbs' speed stands alone. He's like, I have not seen breakaway speed like that before, which says a lot when you talk about a offensive lineman who spent most of his career blocking for Barry Sanders. But to that point, Gibbs now leads the NFL in 20-plus yard runs this season and 40-plus yard runs this season, and to no surprise, in yards per carry at 6.1. And Barry Sanders' single season best yards per carry was 6.1. You know, we're watching a Hall of Fame caliber talent right now in Jahmyr Gibbs.
They're just stylistically different. I think that's my main point, right? Like,
for sure.
Slash and go. Like, Barry did not have that speed. Barry was the best phone booth running back of all time. Like that's what it boils down to. Like he could make 6 guys miss in a 3 yard by 3 yard square. And Gibbs just turns on the burners, and they're both incredibly special talents. Like the Lions are fortunate to have them. Gibbs could end up being in that all-time great category. They're just the thing to me is like I just don't see the stylistic comps.
I think it's just more like the essence of like having an elite running back and watching him play every week. Yeah. Or
could you imagine Barry doing the goalpost dance that Gibbs did a couple of years ago? I don't think so.
Yeah, according to my dad, he hasn't passed Billy Sims yet. So I have to
got work to do.
Yeah, that's just the era he's from. Got to pass Billy Sims, so he told me.
That's right. One thing at a time.